Good. Afternoon, everyone. Everybody want to get their seats, and then we'll go ahead and start the food forum. Hope you are all enjoying the apps and the drinks. Can't have a food forum without food. I was told that early on, and I agree. Well, thank you for coming to the second food forum. I've heard from a lot of good feedback on the first one. Just in case this is your first one, the whole idea of the food forum is to give as much information to you and hear your feedback. Just kind of let you know about our goals, more in depth, what we're dealing with, what we're focused on. Also, we get comment cards, which is great. We want that feedback from y'all from daily. But a lot of times when we go to culinary committee, we're only listening to 15 people. When I can do this food forum, tell you about what's going on and hear your thoughts afterwards and questions from 70, 80. So it's going to be great for both sides, I hope. I hope y'all know that I'm very transparent and I'm here for y'all. My whole department, we want to make resident satisfaction as best we can. So that's the whole point of the food forums, give you information, hear things, what's going on, and maybe things you had questions for that you didn't have or didn't know before. So we talked about this last time, and people wanted it streamed or aired so that way they can see it, so I want to go over it again. K4, so we are going to use that platform community-wide a lot more, but even culinary, that's our drive to use that platform more. That way, updates, menus, nutritional facts, plenty of information that you can have the touch of your fingers. That's why we're using that platform more, to give more communication. We've heard from y'all when I first got this position. Communication, do better at that. So if you want, and we got a question about K4 before as well, the last meeting, about how do I do that? How can I, log in, do this? Is there any way that y'all can do a training? So we do a tech cafe for residents every Wednesday, make sure the time's right, 1 to 2:30 in the meeting room. Say what? Every other, okay, well, I was going off the Ask the Director meeting, so every other Wednesday, 1 o'clock to 2:30 in the meeting room. So if you need help with that, our IT service can definitely download it for you and show you how to use that app. But if you want to do it on your own, you just go to the App Store, type in K4, notice there's not a space, and then Community Plus, it's the app with a home. From there, you'll have the main screen. You can see what's new. So if we're doing a new policy or like procedure or any kind of flyer, you'll see that in the very beginning. But if you go down to the bottom where it's circled at dining, then you can select the menu you'd like to see the menu on. So if you go to bistro, you'll have the day where you can cycle through at the top, or you can have the service, lunch, or you can keep scrolling to dinner. And then read more is going to have our nutritional facts or information on that. Also, I don't know if this is on there. Yes, if you go to the top where it says dining information instead of menus, then you can go to all announcements, weekly menu, and look at that as well. So we're going to use this for also, there's a new one that we just added. It's called information. So like our delivery service, that information's on there. We're going to do our hours of operations. Some more generally asked questions, we're going to have that in answers too. So a lot of information that you can have at your fingertips to utilize that too. The game plan is also, once we get that finalized and slowly integrated, is to have a binder upstairs in Mountain View in the communications room and bistro as well. So if you're trying to do private parties or floor parties, anything like that, or holiday hours, we'll have that all in one central location for you. So this is, you've probably already heard this, but if you haven't, we are doing a new training program with our cooks. It is called Ruby. With Ruby, it is a system that you don't have to have an on-person trainer, but they go through and there's videos from start to bottom of cooking. So knife sharpening, cleaning, sanitizing, soups, bases, a lot of things like that that they all have to take. And now it's mandatory, so anyone that we bring on, they have to finish the first half of the program, which is about 40 hours, before they even hit our floor to cook for us, that's a lot, but at the same time, in the long run for our department, it's going to be so much better because now the person they're working with, they have that base knowledge. It's not like you know how to sharpen that knife, you know how to use the knife skills, you took the same video I did. Having that base knowledge is going to really work well with our chefs. This is kind of off their site, talking about Ruby, who we are. We're a team made of world-class chef educators and formal culinary school executives dedicated to teaching culinary techniques to our students around the world, completely online. We offer traditional, plant-based, and specialty options. What they do, they teach the world how to cook with confidence, whether you're busy at home cooking, seeking efficient techniques, transitioning to a healthier lifestyle, or a culinary professional waiting to expand, certify your skill sets. We have something for you. And how they teach, we've shot hundreds of hours of premium instructional videos focusing on core techniques while developing courses, curriculums that challenge students to master technique, plus you receive an ongoing chef instruction and support and access to our online community. With that, we've also, all of our chefs and myself too, have gone through the courses and looked at them. They're very hands-on. It is not like very vague or bad quality. It shows you from start to finish, and we have testing throughout. So it's not like they're just clicking through. After they make something or a course of like a soup or base or anything like that, myself or the chef has to test them, take a picture, upload it, and then one of their chefs online will also grade too. So they have to pass multiple grades. And each section has a test as well too. So it is not like they can just click through. It is interactive where they have to do things and show their learning. With that, we also just, their first community in Acts to have one of our employees go all the way through for part 1 and part 2. Brittany Gabbard, our lead cook, and so we'll do a presenting. When they do that, we also provide 2 chef coats with their name on it and certification that they did it. It's also a prestige kind of thing, so we want our cooks to be like, oh, I got it done, I did my course. So that's going to be an extra incentive for people to move up and to take that course. And a lot of people are interested. They're like, oh, she got it, I want to do that too. So that's what we're kind of working at as well.
Who is the chef that you just mentioned?
Brittany Gabbard, she is our lead line cook.
So we never know anybody who's in the kitchen.
Gotcha, and that's a good point. So we're going to start with these food forums too, maybe have a featured person as well. They can kind of talk about their career path, what they do, just kind of a spotlight on employees too. With these food forums, I really wanted feedback, what y'all want to see, what keeps you entertained, what wants you to, I want this room filled out every single time. The best way is give information, maybe some action stations, maybe an action station that the cook's doing in the spotlight. So there's things we're going to do to keep this fresh, if that makes sense. What's new? So sweet tea, long overdue in my opinion. We're in the South, we should have that as an option. So we knew have that now. I hope people are enjoying it. We will continue to still have unsweet tea as well. That is in Bistro, Mountain View, and Sydney's as well, that you can have that. Coffee creamers, we have those. I hope those are an upscale too. We have the French vanilla and the half and half. Also, we have a menu update. So every 2 months, is what we'll do is look at what's the least ordered items of those 2 months on an average and look at what we need to replace. Well, this hasn't been selling, or we've had a lot of comments or concerns on the pork ribs or whatever it is, and then we'll take that off and replace it with something else. That's a dangerous game, in my opinion, for my position, because if I take something off you really want, the whole reason why we do that is to keep it fresh for y'all, to have some new exciting menus. If there's something you want to put back on the menu, please use the comment cards. If you have a certain ice cream Hershey's that you want back on there, there's about 50 different flavors, if not more, that we try to cycle through. So it's hard for chefs to keep on cycling and get the ones you want, and we go through so much, about $2,000 a month. We cycle through that ice cream in a hurry, cookies too, so please put in comment cards. That reminds our chefs, we look at those of what we need to do and go back into. Let's see, what else we have? So evaluation of Mountain View dining room. I've touched base on a couple of the past forum on this. So what we asked the culinary committee and some floor reps is to ask the community to get feedback about Mountain View. What we've noticed is the bistro is busy, most popular. We know you love that. Mountain View, we can tell by numbers, and that's what I look at, that is decreased so much. So we're getting feedback from a lot of residents about that, and we've gotten plenty. We have tons. We're pretty sure we know what you want. There's different things on my side that kind of go into the account that y'all can't see, like our front line. We are very excited and wishful that we get the dining room and kitchen renovations. They're talking about maybe 2026. We've all been here long enough. Sometimes renovations and things can get pushed back. So we're not waiting on that. We want to go ahead and look at that space and see if we're using it efficiently and to what y'all want it to be. I never went in my position just, I want to change this. This is how it should be with y'all being upset. I want to hear feedback. I want to see if y'all like it. This is your home. I want y'all happy. So that's why we're first asking the question. Is it the dress code? Is it different things? Do you miss some things about the old way we used to do it? So we have a good amount of feedback, and we're putting a proposal together with Scott, Anna, myself, and corporate to make sure we're not doing anything not enough or enough that y'all would like. So once we have the proposal done, they'll evaluate it, and then we'll do a rollout with the culinary committee and let you know what we're going to do from there. It is not, some rumors have been that I'm just taking away walk inside and that's going away. That is not the case. It is to ask questions and get a feedback on what y'all want for that area. Let's see. Carla. So just if y'all were here last time, we introduced Eddie Venegas, our new assistant restaurant manager. For his position, the culinary services supervisor, we've actually hired Carla Yebra, and she's right here to the left. Carla's been with us for 4 years as a server. She did have another job full-time that she was working there and also filling in whenever she could for us. She never did want to leave, which we appreciate. She's an associate's degree, but she's working to finish her bachelor currently, but we're excited for her to elevate the dining room and your dining experience, and she's going to be a great fit for us, so we're excited. Culinary Services Supervisor. So we have our two supervisors, Melissa Evans and Carla Yebra, and then we have our assistant restaurant manager, Eddie Venegas, and then we have a restaurant manager, Linda Carter, and then it goes to me, the director. Very excited about that. I will also put out a letter to everyone as well and post on K4 announcing that as well. Okay. I was supposed to. Carl, do you mind running the mic and see if anybody has any questions? So that way if you just pass it to someone. Thank you. Anybody questions from anyone? Can you take it to the back?
My question is on the sweet tea.
Yes.
It becomes hot tea because it's so hot in the urn that even if you have a full cup of ice, it melts immediately. It needs to be sort of kind of made much earlier.
Agreed. I was about to say, then we'll need to look at the timing on that and make sure servers, as soon as they come in, they're making it then, so that way it's colder throughout service and it's not melting the ice. Agree completely. Iced tea needs ice. Yes, sir.
We have comment cards stacked in various restaurants. But do we have the ability on K4 to comment?
Not on K4. So there is a survey that after you on the reservation app that allows you to put comments, and that does get emailed to me.
Okay.
I'm evaluating other communities. I've had my monthly meetings with other culinary directors, and I'm going to get with Matthew's Glenn director. He has some pretty good turnout for those surveys. He does, I think, a QR code on some of the tables. That way, you're at the table, you can go ahead and do it right then and there. It takes you to the link, and you can do a survey. So that's something that we're going to evaluate and try to implement in the dining room.
It looks like getting this information electronically would be more easy to process from your end.
Yes, and that would be, well, that's why we're going to try this and have it kind of roll out to let everybody know about that survey and how to do it. I just heard about it on my last call, but I know that Matthews Glenn's director did it, so I'm going to get with him, see how he does it so we can have a smooth rollout. So it's not, I heard about this, I want to show it like, this is how you can do it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Chad, at our last meeting, I asked you a question, and it got partly answered in the time since then. So I'd like you to try to fill in the gaps a little bit.
Okay.
I asked about an organizational chart, but I also wanted some kind of description of each level of management so we know who is responsible for what, who to contact for what. And I appreciate the org chart. You put it online. But if we could have, not full job descriptions, but just something to let us know who's responsible for what.
Yes, ma'am. And that's my next, that was the org chart. We want to get out there, but then I also want to do the quick kind of reference. So I've already started on that, but that'll be the next thing that's posted. So
Okay.
yes. I also want to mention we're in a state window of a survey too, so that's why Brian's not here. Brian was going to be on this, but in state window, we had to be all hands on deck for that. Which is that side?
About a month ago, you told us that we were getting a new vendor for baked goods, and you were very excited about them. Did they provide the blueberry muffins for the coffee this morning, and how are they working out?
So the Crown Bakeries is who we're utilizing. We primarily use them on Sundays. We're slowly going to implement them with different things, different breads. They have some gluten-free bread we want to try it out. We tried their muffins. It was not the muffins theirs. We weren't really a fan of those. They were a little dry in our opinion. I did reach out to the rep and let them know that. They said they'd work on it and have some different things. We're also looking at them. One of my plans maybe do like a bagel bar for Sundays, different things. So we're going to slowly implement them and try out their products. But with any kind of vendor, there's some they're really great at and some that we have different vendors that are better. But we're going to slowly implement different things. I know a big call for is whole grain breads, gluten-free breads, a number of different things. To kind of further in that, the reason why we're looking at the bistro kind of being competitive with Mountain View to bring some more people upstairs so that area is not so heavily utilized so we can do more things, more customizable items. So that's why we're looking at if that correlates a little bit.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
My question is in regard to fresh fruit. I was told that the only fresh fruit that we would be getting from now on would be in the melon family, and I'm wondering why. What happened with bananas, apples, and oranges?
So with the bananas, apples, and oranges, and I don't use this term too much, but we've witnessed a lot of grocery shopping in the sense of we'd have a basket out and it would be gone within 5 minutes. So what I'm looking at is a way to provide that fairly so that doesn't happen. It doesn't mean that we're always just going to have melons. We got to look at other fresh fruits. It is very expensive. You know, when we talk about, and I hate to use the word budgeting, but when you look at fresh fruit, having fresh fruit and also salad and soup and a meal for our budget amount, it is kind of hard to do that. Doesn't mean that we can't add blueberries and different things. We need to do better at that. But it is my goal to have fresh fruit, but to have it in a way that's fair. And it might be that we have a different tin where it's served by the server in that sense. So that is not indefinite, but that is the hurdle that we are coming across is the grocery shopping of that. Because with our meals, and I just want to, we want you to have a full nutritious meal of fruit, salad, soup, everything, but we're not budgeted and we will it to other meals, to have food for dinner that you're getting from lunch. That's something that we run in with that grocery shopping term is why I use that. But no, we're going to look at that and try to have that available.
About 7 people asked me to talk for them today.
Sure.
And I'll first talk for myself.
Okay.
And I agree with Lynn Sharp that there should be some kind of a group of things like you have job descriptions so that we know who is in charge of what and where we can go to make it to give our information. The 7 people that I talked to were very concerned about the high-fat content of your diets. And I have sent 3 cards in about whole milk. There are three levels of milk. The highest fat is whole milk. The second highest, well, that is 3%. The second one is reduced fat, which is 2%. And the last is fat-free. They have been told that the reduced fat, which is 2.5%, is the fat-free, and it is not. So I think that needs to be clarified. And also, all 7 wanted to have more no-fat milk.
Okay.
The second thing is that the portions in the proteins have been decreased. The last 2 months, the portions have been lower, and we have to ask for more. I had the experience of having a Caribbean salad, and on the top of it, it had 4 pieces of chicken the size of a quarter. That is not 6 ounces. I think that needs to be corrected.
Sure, and I can bring that up to my chef too and monitor that for portions
It
on the
might
salads.
be that they're not being trained.
And we do have a lot, and that was part of my notes I should have mentioned earlier. We are almost fully staffed in cooks. We're 1 line cook short. With that, though, I talked before with someone else. When I first was in culinary, I thought, and I felt, and other people thought this way too, that we were the best property in culinary for the property of Axe, or for the company of Axe. I don't think we're there yet, and I know we have a far amount to go. When I was part of that, we had cooks that had been here for 5+ years. I would say the majority, besides 1 or 2, 5+ years.
Well, all of us are senior citizens, at least most of us. And I'm a retired nurse psychotherapist. And I've taken 4 nutrition classes, and the high fat content is way too high. And I think you need to bring in either a nutritionist or someone that can provide the 60 grams of protein a day for a senior citizen. That is correct.
Gotcha, but that's throughout a day, not in one serving. Is what you're
Oh,
saying?
no.
Correct. Right, okay, that's
no,
to make
no,
sure we're
no,
on the same
not-
page. Like
no,
that
not
would
one.
be.
Yeah, for a day.
Yeah,
Well,
yes,
we're
ma'am.
not receiving that. I know I am not, and I presume Walt isn't either.
Okay.
But
I can
anyway,
focus on
I
that.
wanted to say that, and otherwise, I'm very happy with LVE.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Milk, portions, fat content. I got it down here. And I'll check with our chefs too about the milk. I know there was an issue a while back about getting cartons, and that was an issue we were having. But I think that's decided, so we should have the skim 2% and whole milk. But let me check with my chef for sure. Again, he's supposed to be here, but again, we're in state survey, so we need him right now for that. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
The Reuben is a great sandwich. Just wanted to let you know that the seeded rye that you've substituted in for the marble rye recently is an even improvement on the Reuben. So keep doing what you're doing with the sandwich. The seeded rye was really good.
Okay, thank you. I gotta take my notes. Oh,
As
sorry.
of about 5 years ago, we had our medical department telling us to cut out antibiotics. And at that time, I had talked with Angel, who had your position. Did our animals have antibiotics they were eating? And the answer, after he checked with the purveyors, was yes. So we're sort of in a dichotomy there on antibiotics. The next thing I wanted to ask was, are there hormones in the beef and pork? Because
So-
5 years ago, the purveyor said there were,
The
except for
surveyor said, is that what you said?
the purveyor. He
Purveyor.
checked, Angel checked with all the suppliers.
Gotcha. So, I mean, and that's the hard part for me to know of what he looked at, what he said, and what's changed.
And you might have changed purveyor since then.
And that's why I'm like, I'm not sure when that was. I was in HR at that point. But I can look at this and I can find that out.
So we don't know if we're eating hormones or antibiotics. Is that,
Oh, I'm sure there's antibiotics for sure. I'm assuming that, but I don't have that answer. I can reach out to our Buckhead beef, our provider of what our beef is, and I can get that answer very simply. But I don't have that answer right now. That's the hard part of not having the chef here. That's why we were going to have him, but again, the state survey. So I'll have that to him, and we can talk about it in the next forum.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Recently, I've noted, and it's been this way on and off for a number of years here. Vegetables. We get 2 green vegetables sometimes and no other vegetables. For example, we had green beans and spinach a couple of nights ago. We also had another night cauliflower and a mixed vegetable, which was very heavily cauliflower. So what happened to green and red vegetables or orange vegetables or some of those other kind of things?
Well, then today we had the mixed vegetables, and then we had carrots. You know, and so it's. I will say when you're designing that menu, you're trying to look at color, variety, and different things like that. So what? Green is green. We always try to have a green vegetable, maybe a cauliflower, a different color. So that way, when you have your plate, it's colorful but also nutritious. But what I'm also hearing for that. Please, again, I'll go back to those comment cards. If there's a vegetable or something that you really want on the menu, please say that. Like, we want ideas too. I mean, we go through Meal Suite and it's hard to cycle through. And then we don't want lunch to be the same thing as dinner either. And then back to back the day before and day after. So that it is kind of hard to kind of cycle through with those vegetables. But asparagus, broccoli, I can go a number of things. Because then we get like, I'm done with broccoli. Please never have broccoli again. If you have green beans, you better cook them the right way. It's better be southern, it better be al dente. It is a losing battle forever on that, but that's why we want to hear comment cards when a bunch of you are like, please never put this on, please have this. It does matter. I mean, if you talk to me on the culinary committee, we do talk about those in details also.
Just one question, I think. What do you think is the level of resident satisfaction with the overall food operation?
With mine?
With the food, yeah.
It's a hard question.
Of course it is.
I'm hoping it's better than when I started. I think, there's so far that we need to go and can go. And it goes back into what I was talking about before, where a lot of y'all don't see what we're doing in the back of the house culture-wise in my department. Again, when you have cooks that have been here for 5+ years and you can rely on them, we only have one cook that's been here over a year, if that tells you anything. Now with Ruby and training, cross-training and all that, we're almost fully staffed. And when you walk into my kitchen, and this is just back of the house, that you can take my word for it, it is a different culture. You walk in, people are happy, they're excited to cook. We are getting better so much and more solid. Like if we did have a cook quit about 2 months ago and walked out. I don't think anybody noticed any different. No stations got shut down or anything like that. We still gave good service. That's where we're at now. And we're still looking at sanitation workers moving up the ranks. If before they do, they have to do Ruby. Infrastructure being solid in my department has been so much better. Now, with that, I hope this year, and I hope it has already seen a little better in our different menu items, rotations, that it is getting better. They say don't fire the coach after the first year. Let them the second year show. I think this year you're going to see a lot more things and things we're pushing at.
If you talk to people that have been here a long time, we've only been here a couple of years, so we don't have a whole lot of history. People who have been here a long time say, well, the food was better than that here, or it's gotten better, gotten worse. Over the time it's gotten better and it's gone down. A lot of people I talk to say, well, the food has really gotten not very good
Well, I hate hearing that.
this year.
Okay, well then it means I need to try harder. And that's why we're doing the food forum. I want to hear things. But a lot of times when I hear, and I hear this a lot, and I used to hear when I first started, food was so much better when I moved in. I've heard that less and less, but when people say that, please give me details on how you would want it better. Again, I'm here for y'all. If there's something you think can do that way, bring it to the table.
Well, just as an example, there was this conversation about Mountain View, and apparently it's not getting used as much as you would like.
Yes, sir.
I understand that it was basically closed when COVID hit, about 2019 or something like that.
Yes, sir, from my memory.
And so basically it's been shut down. I know it was opened back up, but it's different. And so now it's 6 years later, and people, they want something different with Mountain View.
Well, with that, again, that goes to me asking the question of what you want, and we're going to do a proposal of doing something different about it. I hope that's what y'all get from me too. Like, I don't care how things were and are, like, I want to get better in every way. And so what you're talking about, we are gonna look at changing that way if we can to make it happier and better, in ways maybe in the past. The thing also to realize that y'all don't see about the front line and what we are limited by, when that kitchen was designed, it was only for east and west and a lot less people. And it was only designed for buffet and 3 or 4 menu items. That was the front line capacity, and we haven't changed that front line since it's pretty much built. That's why we want to bring more menu items, different things. So there's a lot that we're asking for that y'all might not see, but that's why we're pushing for this new proposal of ways to make that better, in my opinion, for y'all. So, but I take that as a challenge to still do more and improve every day. And at least every day, I feel like we are getting better. And there's ways that we can drop the ball, but collectively, we're going to try to get better. Yep.
One of my concerns, Chad, is the temperature of the food. I like my food hot, and most of the time it is not. And we went to Mountain View a couple of nights ago, and the potatoes were just like glue because they were practically cold. And the rest of the food tasted good, but it was not warm.
Can I ask, was that in buffet or was that in reservations?
Well, that's just across the board. If you get it in the hot bar, it's not hot enough. One time, and it was about 2 weeks ago, you served turkey divan, and the plate was hot, the food was hot, and that makes it so much better.
Agreed. We've taken a lot more proactive steps on that. I mean, we crank that plate warmer up almost as high as we can. The hard part in buffets is if we went to the highest level, then when people are getting the plates, they're burning their hands, and that's the hard.
It was that hot, and I liked that because it kept the food. I mean, I guess I have asbestos fingers, but just the fact that it kept the food warm while I was eating it.
Yes, ma'am. And we've been taking and Linda and people can attest, we're like making sure buffet runners are keeping that plate warmer hot, turned on every single time. And there's sometimes they're turning it off because they're burning their hands. That is a hard part on that buffet. Not a simple solution, but we're looking at temps as well to try to get us hot. Buffets, the problem with buffets, in my opinion, you might be quick to go to your table, and I hope that you are, but sometimes people get their entree, a salad, dessert, stop and talk to some people, and talk to a server, then they're sitting down, oh, I forgot my dessert, I want to get it now, and that food's been sitting. If you sit for 5+ minutes, the temp on that plate is going to drop dramatically.
And I understand that.
And that's a hard challenge. I'm not saying that we can't do better. That's what we're focusing on trying to do. That's why I ask, is it reservations? Is it buffet?
Well, it's across the board, but again,
Okay.
when we were in Mountain View, I thought because there are less people up there, the food ought to be hot, and the way we like it is served immediately, and you've ordered what you wanted, you came right out of the kitchen. If you weren't standing in line, you weren't around talking to people, so on.
And it was still cold. So that's problematic. Please ask, and then it goes into also, please ask for a supervisor too. And I know a lot of people don't want to do that, but that's when, someone came to me in the bistro and asked about a salad. It's like, this is turned brown. I went to it, got it. As soon as I got the dish, I was able to go to the cook and point out to him, I was like, okay, now look at this from a resident's point of view. Now you see the brown, like they don't want that. And I was walking them through that, so hopefully it doesn't happen again. So if you get a plate that's cold or anything like that, problems, please ask for a supervisor. I know that you don't want to do it, but it helps us address issues right then and there. Sometimes we'll be told, a week ago I got a plate and it was a dry piece of salmon fish and it was just unedible. It's like, I'm so sorry. It's hard for me to go back to that seating chart, find where you were seeing, see if it was a server, did they not pull it from the window fast enough, find the cook on the line. It's so much easier for us to address things and fix moving forward right then and there. Does that make sense? But I know temperature of food is a high priority for us. That's why it's on a survey every 2 years for all around acts, temperature of food, and it matters. And that's a focus of ours. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I forgot something.
Yes, sir.
I'm getting older. Anyway, the thing that I wanted to talk about was,
Sorry.
I mean, it's really, it's bothering me, getting older and forgetting so much, but.
You're not alone. That's why to write everything down.
That's a good thing.
Have to.
You'll be writing a book when you get my age, okay? Getting back to the milk, I forgot to tell you, I did a little bit of research on the value of milk for senior citizens. And by far, here we have more whole milk and reduced fat than we do fat-free. And the Boston Woman Study said that it should be just the opposite. More fat-free, less to, and even less whole milk. Now, the reason for this is that they're finding that fat in the food, milk, and beverages add to chronic illness, such as high cholesterol, let's see, what was the other, cancer. They're finding that has high fats.
Yes, ma'am. And so we, in that sense, we're going to try to have the skim 2% and whole. And that's kind of pick your, not to use the word poison, pick your poison in the sense of like, I've read research too, and it used to be fat-free is not the way. Whole milk is that. It's more nutritious, definitely go for it. And I can say there's a lot of residents I hear a lot of time, like you're advocating for skim milk, advocating for whole milk. So that's kind of hard for me.
Well,
so we'll have
luck.
all three, and hopefully that can kind of solve that in that sense.
Yeah, well, you're right there, but please have more
Yes, ma'am.
non-fat. Thank you.
I'll talk to the chef about that. Yes, ma'am.
I have a suggestion. On the plates to be hot, which we all would like to see,
Yes, ma'am.
if you go into the Mountain View dining room and you are given your place to sit, grab your cloth napkins, which I am so delighted that we have cloth napkins. Don't ever give those up.
No, ma'am.
But grab your cloth napkin and take it to the buffet with you. And when the server hands you your plate, use your cloth napkin to not burn your hands. A lot of you know I just came back from Africa, and I went on safari to 4 different national parks. And everywhere we ate, that was the thing they always told us when we got up from the table to go through the line. Don't forget to bring your napkin, because they always served us on very hot plates. So everybody, might want to think about doing that. We might want to make that sort of a suggestion somehow. I'm not sure how, but think about it.
I've been kind of hesitant. At some point I was going to try this because, again, we talk about feedback. Who would be okay, raise a hand, if your plate was scorching hot where you would need a napkin? Raise your hand. Okay, so it's about 50-50. So that's the hard part of find that balance, which we're trying to do, where it's not so hot, but hot enough where it keeps the plate warm. So we'll keep on monitoring that. That's very hard, but the best we can. And also we're asking for new plate warmers, things like that as well, to kind of battle that. Maybe they'll fix the issue too. Because a lot of those plate warmers we have currently, it heats from the bottom. So sometimes the bottom ones are super hot where the heat source is, and the top ones are cold because it's sitting more towards the air. So we've asked for maybe some better heat warmers, for plate warmers as well for that. So that's something we're looking at the back of the house too, shopping for things with cost as well.
Chad, on the K4, when I go on K4 for the bistro for lunch, you got the soup down, but nothing from the hot bar is on the K4. I mean, like today, they didn't have anything. We had the correct soup on the K4, but I could not see anything other than the sandwiches.
Strange. We had an issue before about a little bit more a month ago where it was not matching up our menus, and we reached out to corporate and we got that resolved. This is the first I've heard about it today. What I'll do is reach out to them and see why it's not on there.
Did anybody look on K4 and see what was on the hot bar? I did not see it. I saw what the soup was, but that's all.
Linda said that she noticed that too, so I'll talk to corporate and see what's going on with that. In the back of the house, we have rotating, so those are 2 different menus. So we have our stationary, this one menu in the back, And then we have our buffet that cycles. And for some reason it hasn't pulled over. That's probably what happened. I'll talk to the corporate and see if they can fix that. Because one time ours was right in the system, but there was a system glitch on corporate side and they had to fix that. So I'll look at that.
Chad, on that line, I noticed recently that if you go to K4, there's a MV dining room and then there's a Mountain View. There's two separate. And I just found out today, if you click on MV dining room, it has the two entrees, the hot entrees, the rotisserie chicken and shrimp creole over rice, which I think is what's on the dinner menu. So is for
And
the
when that
buffet,
happens, it should
for the
be on the
buffet.
bistro one too. So that's why I think there's a glitch in the system. So I'll have to get with corporate why that's doing it. Because if it's on one menu, then it should pull on both. It's easy for us to select locations. So it makes me think there's probably a back of the house issue with corporate. And before you do that, we are looking at different systems too and demos. Corporate is looking for better systems for us. You know, that could take a while, but they are looking to evolve that and do better. K4 is here, I think, for the future, and EDAPS, but some of our back of the house systems we feel need updating, and they're looking at that.
Okay, going back to K4.
Yes, ma'am.
It has its own issues, we all understand that. But what's, for so long I noticed on there when you looked up for the hot bar, for instance, for Bistro or for Mountain View, it didn't list it. It listed for the Bistro all the options you have, or several main dishes you must have. Sometimes it listed breakfast, and I'm not aware of breakfast here.
So that was pulling from a different menu, but that was a corporate glitch
That
too,
was a
and we did
corporate,
resolve
okay.
that
But-
last month. But then,
But if you looked at the menu for OBT and over there, it was exactly correct on what was supposed to be on our hot bar. So is it corporate that's putting all these menus on?
no, so it is us that uploads it, because we do change the menus. They send a nutritional, and then we might change it. It might be an item, there's a couple on there we get from corporate, and we're like, that's not gonna fly with our residents, and we'll change that to maybe chicken parm instead of there's some weird names out there that they use that we know don't fly. So we change it to a more popular item. Then we upload it to our system, then we select the venues that it's at. So we have multiple venues, or menus and venues that we select from. So we upload it, but in that case before, that was an issue where it wasn't connecting in the system. I'll check on that because it's been pretty solid this past month. This is the first I've heard of another issue with that. I did ask corporate about, I know it's annoying that our hot bar items don't show in a different category and it's mixed in with everything else. Unfortunately, there's not something that will correct that. I asked corporate about it and they can't fix that. But they're looking for another update that will maybe do that. But right now, there's no way for me to different categorize that. I did ask.
I'm sorry, I have two questions. First, will the chef be here next month?
Yes, or a sous chef. That is the goal, that we'll have that. Again, it's state
Okay,
survey.
because I came prepared with my questions for the chef.
Okay, sure.
All right, also, I understand before the lockdown with the pandemic that we were able to serve ourselves from the salad bar. I also understand that Tryon now lets its residents serve themselves from their salad bar. So why can Tryon do it and we not do it?
So, a heavy question. Well, I'll do that's all right, but I might touch on what you were going to say. So, and after COVID, and we still have flu and everything, it is very unsanitary and hard to keep up or be sanitary for every single person to touch tongs. And I used to work on the buffet in Mountain View. It was a full-time, I was running around constantly just trying to keep it clean. But sanitation-wise is the number one reason why we won't go back to that.
Well, why do they do it at Tryon? And of course, they do it in restaurants everywhere.
Now that I can't touch on, but I'll say for here, as far as food safety and spreading germs and flu and COVID, I doubt we'll go back to that. That's something that if you want to put a comment card in, we can evaluate the culinary committee, but I just feel like that's probably not going to fly by sanitation purposes.
I've observed somebody sticking their finger. This is
Can you get in? Well, hold on, let's just keep on. If you want to raise your hand, then then you can say your comment about that. But yeah. Okay, well there's a mic, so that's
just a quick one. Before we were not allowed to do that. I have observed somebody sticking their finger in the dressing, licking their finger, and then sticking it in another dressing to see what it tastes like. I have observed people picking up stuff and then putting it back on the plate, at which time I left. So believe me, you don't want old people doing this.
And that's, but it is a real thing that you would think that no one would do it, but people do. And that is we can make the best dish in the world, but if you see what she might have observed, you're not going to try that dish ever again. So that is a reason why we are not going back to that, unfortunately.
I'd like to know why you seem to be out of wine glasses. Last night in Mountain View reservations, there were no wine glasses, and our waitress just went everywhere trying to find some. And then last week, the same thing happened over just in, non-reservations. They couldn't find wine glasses, and they're so cheap. You can go down to Treasures and
I did actually just recently hear that, and they are on the way. So I did order 4 more cases of that. I'm sorry, but then if I don't hear about it, like you're bringing up now, that'd be a good cue for me to be like, oh, I'll order some more.
Well, why
but
don't
we
you
do
have
have some
them?
more ordered, so hopefully that will not, and it'll be here next week.
Yeah, have them in each station
Yes,
already
ma'am.
there for the number of tables that are in that area.
That is the game plan, 100%. Yes, ma'am. Also going with new staff, new servers have a tendency to drop a lot of plates and glasses. That's what we're focusing on training as well. That's probably, now that I got this position, the worst sound of my job is something breaking. So
I ate at Sydney's, and there was a table next to us that was all set with wine glasses and everything, and no one was eating there.
yes, ma'am. And the other night for a floor
there
party,
were
I
wine
had to pull
glasses
some
there.
glasses from there. So we did order more, so that way that shouldn't be an issue going forward. Sorry about that.
Chad,
Yes, ma'am.
we discussed, Joy mentioned with the fat or saturated fat, and the other culprit is salt. I'm wondering what you do to make sure that the food isn't too salty.
So multiple things to that. And again, if you get a cook from the outside, it's hard. And then from other sides, they're cooking to taste. They want their food to taste good to their taste buds. So we're very adamant of when we're training new chefs. I know you want it to taste good, and we want you to taste to make it taste good, but salt does not go over well here. Stick to the menu recipes. Do not over salt. I know you might think it needs salt. Ask 2 more people to try it. Do not over salt it. So that is a ongoing, constant training thing, because it should stick. And now we know that that's what you want for K4. Look at nutritional values, and it be that way. Another hard part, the hurdle we have is like when you go to other restaurants, they're serving the same exact food every single day. So they have it down to a science, and it's usually packaged and stuff. We're making things from scratch, and we have skilled cooks to do that, but we have to make sure they're sticking to the recipes. So that is the biggest hurdle, and that's what we focus on constantly. And that's supervision. And again, for being fully staffed, my chef and sous chefs and lead cooks have time to move around, witness, and oversee when the cooks are doing that, and train them more. So again, we talk about doing better in the future. Being fully staffed and have experienced cooks to our culture and what you want will show progress in the future. Anybody else? Is anyone say about what they would like to see more, or anything you'd like to see from these meetings or forums?
Mine is not want to see it, I want to see less of it. We have a problem down in the bistro with girls fooling with their hair between the lines of the ice cream and the desserts. And I've seen one to take her whole hair down and wind it back and then come over to the ice cream bar. And we need to watch these girls and tell them to fix their hair before they go on duty, because it's very distracting to see somebody working with their hair and then come and dip ice cream.
And that's against food codes. That should not be what's
It is-
going on.
it is happening.
And we've been addressing that a lot. I'd say that we've been doing lineups, and we need to monitor that. Please let us supervise know. We should see that ourselves. If you see that, let us know, please, because we've been going over it till we're blue in the face, but we also need to monitor and catch them when they do that. That sounds kind of hard, but notice when they do it and address it with them. And we will go as far as coaching and counselings and different things like that, because that is not acceptable. So we've been saying a lot. I was hoping you were going to say you've seen progress with that, but apparently we still need to be focused on that. I apologize. Yes, ma'am.
I was just going to say something that I thought was delicious was when you used to have sautéed vegetables in Mountain View, fresh vegetables, and then it was taken off and you put fried corn fritters, and I almost cried. But the fresh vegetables were delicious, and they were just whatever was there.
You talking about the mixed sauteed or the mushrooms?
They would fix whatever, it just said, fresh sautéed vegetables.
Okay.
And then they would use whatever they had, I guess, because it was different every time.
Okay.
It
And
was
perfect time
very,
you mentioned
very,
that, 'cause we're about
very
to change
good.
the menu, so maybe we can bring that back on. Would you want me to take off fried okra? No, I'm just kidding. That was a joke, sorry. That for a TV, I'm sorry, joke, bad joke. That is like our most sold item, I'm not touching it.
Would you like a compliment?
Oh, please, I need it.
Earlier this week, Fourth Floor East had our annual dinner and business meeting in the veranda, and the food was good, the service was wonderful. I mentioned that when the drinks were served, we were going to close the doors so we could hear ourselves talk. Chad was right there to close the doors for us, and we just really appreciate it. We had a good meeting and a good meal, and thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate that. That's the goal. I want y'all to be happy every meal. So. And I hope y'all like that we did the floor parties. Before it was buffet, and that's one of the things we first changed. Like, no, it needs to be plated, a nice event for y'all, so I'm glad y'all are enjoying that. Thank you. Okay. Well, also for these things, if there's a comment card you want to use for like next food forum, please bring this up. Or I'd like y'all to, again, spotlight a certain member. Please spotlight Carla or just someone like that. You know, give us feedback. I want y'all to get information, be excited about these events, and feel informed. And I already feel informed every time I write something down to help y'all. So, but thank y'all for today, and I really appreciate y'all being here. We'll continue to do better. Thank you.